Hey everyone, it's Sam. Did you know that the average person could not come up with $400 if they were faced with an emergency? This is just something that I assumed that most people could handle, but this is the reason I'm also making the video. So for this video, I decided to brainstorm some ideas and come up with the best ones possible to help you save for an emergency. Now, I didn't want to make any unrealistic goals. I wanted them to be all achievable, something that you can get started on right away. Ideally, you should be able to save up $1,000 for your emergency fund just within a few months if you follow these 3 steps that I'm going to go over today. I also want to go over some thoughts of exactly how I would create $1,000 if I were in a situation where I needed to. This should be the type of video that you can either reference yourself or send to someone else that might be struggling and maybe they need to set up an emergency fund, or maybe you just want to help them save up money in general. I know that there are a ton of other videos out there that will show you how to save money, so I really appreciate the time that you're giving me to show you my ideas. So I've heard some crazy stories about people having to go and get something like a payday loan or get a loan from a family member just for small type of emergencies like $200-300. Personally, I have not been in this type of situation because I have vowed to make sure that I always have an emergency fund available in case I ever run into an emergency, which I did earlier this week, which I'll get to later. Now, was it difficult to save this kind of money? Actually, no. You just have to be purposeful and know your goal and set it. Just little baby steps will get you there. Now, if you already have your emergency fund, that is fantastic. Maybe this video will help you increase it. Anyway, let's go over some of the best ways that I've come up with to either start your emergency fund or increase it. If you don't apply any of these ideas, great. As long as you think about the things that I'm saying, maybe they'll trigger something else in your mind that can help you increase your savings. Think of this video as a how to create an emergency fund from scratch guide that can either help you create that emergency fund or just buff yours up. And the best part is it's all free. Even though the video is free, I hope that you still find value and find that this video is helpful. So with that said, let's begin with the easiest way to save money. The first step that you absolutely must do is set up a budget. I cannot think of a single successful, financially independent person that has not set up a budget for themselves. If you don't know where your money's going, and if you skip this step, you're going to find it incredibly difficult in order to figure out how to save up just $1,000. This is by far the best way for you to understand exactly where you can save some money. You just need to set up a little bit of time. I'm talking 10, 15, 20 minutes in order to figure out exactly where each of your dollars are going. When I started my budget, I actually started to go through and just jot down on a yellow legal pad exactly every single expense that I was making and what that money was used for. I then transferred all of this written information, put it into an Excel sheet in order to make simple calculations much easier. The best part about doing it in Excel for me was that I could quickly change any type of increases in my expenses or decrease in my expenses or increase in my income. I was able to manually change these without having to scratch through and write everything down again. Excel just made everything much easier for me. If you are really, truly just a beginner and you don't have any type of budget at all, I definitely recommend getting yourself a notepad or an Excel sheet and just keeping track of every single dollar that you're spending for 3 months. By being diligent and really paying attention to this for 3 months, you'll understand what your averages actually look like on a month-to-month basis so you can build the best budget possible. There are a lot of phone apps out there that are available for free as well. One example is the Everydollar app. So this will take you about 10 minutes to set up, which is great. I mean, how often are you not with your phone? So it makes it much easier to just understand exactly how much money you have coming in, how much money you have coming out, and where it's going. If you aren't comfortable with putting that type of information on your phone, then definitely stick with Excel. It can do the job as well. Of course, Excel will be a little bit more tedious, but it's fully customizable. If you don't take making a budget seriously, I can almost guarantee that you will fail when it comes to saving money. That sounds harsh, but it's true. You need to take ownership of your own finances because there's no one else out there that's going to do it. The only other option that you really have is to continue with what you're currently doing and just hope for the best. And this option is just way too risky for me. Do yourself a favor and just create a habit of building a budget. This will definitely help you in the long run. What's the worst thing that can happen? Your budget is going to be free to set up, and I guarantee you're going to have a more prosperous future. There's nothing really to lose here except for maybe a few minutes that you spent putting together a budget that you're not going to end up using. At least it will get you thinking about your finances. Now, the average person doesn't have a budget at all. Do you want to be average? I doubt it, especially if you're watching this video. The second step is going to be a little tougher than the first, but I guarantee it's going to be well worth your time. Step 2 is cutting items from your budget. The absolute best way to save money is to use your current income as your wealth builder. You don't need a second job. I know this sounds really simple, but it's true. The best way to save this money is to find out exactly where all of your money's going and then cut back some of those exports. With that said, here are 3 small cuts that you can make starting right now that you will barely even notice that you're doing. Number 1, stop going to the coffee shop and brew your own coffee. You can get an entire bag of good quality coffee for $7, which should last you about 2 weeks, depending on how caffeinated you are. Going out is going to cost you $5 every time that you need that double shot espresso vanilla latte thing that you are used to and accustomed to. What a terrible investment. Look up some recipes online, get yourself a coffee maker, get yourself some beans, and get yourself whatever pumps and that you need, and you'll be able to make this same drink for 50 cents. We're talking 90% off. If you were getting coffee right now just 2 days a week, that's going to cost you about $450 every single year. If you're getting coffee about 3 times every week, that's going to cost you about $700. Do yourself a favor, save 90% starting right now. Number 2 is do your grocery shopping at Aldi. So my wife and I really enjoy going to Kroger and Giant Eagle. We have no problem with those grocery stores. But then we started shopping at Aldi, and then we compared our receipts for the same items that we would normally be buying. And we've continued to go to Aldi ever since, just because of those price comparisons. In our budget, we were spending about $350 every month, or about $4,200 a year at the grocery. When we started switching to Aldi, we kept all of our receipts and compared that to Kroger or Giant Eagle to see exactly how much we could be saving. Whenever we started doing this, we did it for a few months, and we looked at the averages, and we were saving about 20% every time that we went to the grocery. This simple switch was saving us about $70 a month, or $840 in 1 year. With this simple switch alone, you would already have your emergency fund set at $840. More than twice what the average person cannot afford right now. Number 3 would be to skip a month. Now when I say skip a month, I mean certain things like don't get your hair cut this month and save yourself $20. Save yourself a subscription and cancel Apple Music or something like that. That's going to save you another $10 a month. You can also turn your heat down a couple degrees and save yourself $20 a month. Put all of that together and you'll be saving yourself $50 a month or $600 a year. Or you could just do this every other month and save yourself $300. These are just a few simple ideas. Definitely look at your own budget and figure out where you can make additional little cuts and put these together and let me know how that works for you. So the third stage is to sell something. This step's going to require additional effort on your part, but it can actually be a lot of fun. So there are a couple ways to go about this. Either you can look around the house and figure out things that you're not using that you can just go ahead and sell, or you can go to other retailers or thrift shops and figure out items that you can resell. Personally, I like to go through my own closet every once in a while and figure out which items I haven't worn in a while. The great part is that not only are you clearing space in your closet, but you're also bringing in some cash. And you can go ahead and start selling these items on eBay or Craigslist. It really depends on what your preference is. Personally, I enjoy eBay. The reason I like eBay is that it gives me a bigger pool of customers and I don't have to do any in-person transactions. Over the past year, I've actually sold old jeans that have big holes in them because that's trendy. I've sold parts of my broken coffee maker. And I've sold some of my old golf shirts. Now, it wasn't a ton of money, but just for those used items, I was able to make over $200 just selling my old clothes. An example of something that I found at a retail shop was this Pennywise coffee mug that I found at Meijer. It was $10. I thought, I'll go ahead and gamble on this for $10. So I listed that for $48. I ended up making over $25 profit. Yes, I had this creepy clown hanging out in my closet for a month before it sold, but I'll do that all day. If you're able to make just a couple sales every week, that's going to make you $10 each. We're talking over $1,000 in your emergency fund. That would cover step number 1, baby step number 1 that Dave Ramsey is always talking about. Not only that, but you will actually feel a lot better just knowing that in case there is an emergency, you're going to be set. Without actually having an emergency fund set up, you are just asking for trouble. For example, just 3 days ago, my wife and I woke up early and noticed that the house was a little chilly. I checked out the thermostat right away and it said it was 61 degrees in the house. So when I said to turn down the thermostat a couple degrees, I mean like maybe 68, 69 degrees, not 61. So I ran down to the basement, I checked out the furnace, and it was not running. I noticed that it did need a filter, so that had to be replaced, so I ran out early in the morning, got a filter, and I changed that, unplugged the furnace, tried it again, still wasn't working. So we had a technician come out. He said that the furnace was not good anymore. It was 25 years old and it needed to be replaced. And I asked him what the damage was going to be, and he said $2,500 because I needed a full new furnace. Thankfully, because of our emergency fund, we didn't have to go into debt in order to solve this. We just paid for it. Had we not had this emergency fund ready to go, we would have to go and borrow money. And borrowing money is always going to cost you interest. It also means that you're putting yourself in debt. Now, for example, if you're going to go ahead and get a small loan like that, it's going to cost you, even with a good credit score, it's going to cost you like 15% interest over maybe a 5-year period. Here's the breakdown of what it would look like to borrow $2,500 for 5 years at 15% interest. Over the course of that 5-year period, every single month, you would be making your payments and you would end up paying over $1,000 in interest. A total of almost $3,600 for the furnace that should have only cost you $2,500. This is 43% more than I would have paid if I just paid in cash. Build up that emergency fund. Don't stop at $1,000. Give yourself at least 3 to 6 months worth of total expenses, because then this will cover not only those 3 to 6 months, say you lose your job, but it will also cover something larger like a new furnace. Now, when you make changes in your life like this, you have to remember that you have to do this for a reason. Whether you are doing this to pay for your kids' education, to buy a house, or to just spend more time and money on a hobby that you really enjoy, you have to keep this reason in mind or else you will just give it up. Without being crystal clear about a reason for your budget, you're not going to do it. You're just going to end up going down the same path that you currently are. If you enjoy that, by all means, keep doing that. But if you want a better future, make sure that you're saving some money. Establish your goals for the reasons behind your budget and behind your emergency fund, and write these down. By writing them down, you are helping encode these into your brain. So whenever you see something, you write it down. It's going to help store that information in your long-term memory rather than your short-term memory, thinking, oh, I won't forget this. It might go in your short-term memory and you will forget it. Helping yourself by writing this down will ensure that you have a better chance of storing it in your long-term. Something to think about is the importance of saving money. I know we just went through some various steps as to how to do it, but let's talk about why. Why are you doing it? I mean, we all know it's a good idea to save money, but why? And the answer for this is actually kind of simple. It's because you can't predict the future. If you are saving money, you are less likely to be stressed, because stress can easily be triggered by personal finances. It's one of the leading stressors we have to face today. If you are currently in debt, just imagine yourself not having those bills every single month. It would most likely put you in a better mood, which would lead to better relationships, which would lead to more opportunities for yourself, eventually leading to a better life experience. Money does not have to be stressful. When you think about it, all you're doing with money is exchanging it for someone else's goods and services. There are a ton of people out there that blame their personal issues on money and by saying that it's evil. When it comes down to it, money isn't causing any problems. It's your decisions that are causing the problems. So you can't blame something like money, this inanimate object. All it is an exchange of goods and services for goods and services. You work, either you're selling something, a good, or you're selling services in order to get money, and then you exchange that for someone else's goods and services. With all of that said, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, give me a comment, and also follow my channel here. It would really help me out so much. It will especially help me out with the YouTube algorithm so that more people can see this video. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.